What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD. We are back. We are live with another segment. The last video I touched on off-camera flash, 5 things you will need outside. But now I want to talk about tips and tricks. And so this is a live stream. I want to remind you, just in case you are catching this on the replay. If you are catching this on the replay, then I will direct you to the description where I will give a synopsis of everything that you probably want to know from this video, since there will be a lot of engagement with the fellow subscribers in the chat room that you may or may not want to see. Also, I will add some chapters to this video so you can go directly to the 5 main points that I will be making in this video. Now that we have that out the way, let us get into this video, have a good talk, and talk about some off-camera flash. What's going on, Stan? So the last video, if you have not seen it, it is on the channel, and it's 5 things you need to know about off-camera flash photography. Now, this is just going to focus on 5 things that I believe is important with regards to off-camera flash photography. And so anyone can really consume this information, and it can be useful to anyone. So we are going to get into it. As always, love to hear the feedback from you all as well, and your experiences with off-camera flash, if you have any. So definitely let me know. All right. Now, we are going to start this off. Off-camera flash has been a very useful technique, and it's a lot of different things you can go into in terms of why people use off-camera flash. What's going on, SJ? These reasons can definitely be all around the board, but I want to touch on 5 things, and without wasting any time, let's go into one of the 5 things that you need to know about off-camera flash. Okay. The first thing that I believe you need to know about off-camera flash is understanding exposure. I think that is a critical piece of using off-camera flash. Sometimes you use different techniques when we talk about exposure, right? So, and sometimes it can be lost with someone who may just be starting. So a lot of times we use a term that we kind of say, expose for the ambient, expose for the ambient. But what does that really mean, right? So you need to know about exposure. You have exposure for your ambient, you have exposure for your subject. And we have to understand those in order to get that nice, clean, crisp look that a lot of people are looking for when you use off-camera flash. So let's go to this first image right here, and we're going to go into it just a little bit deeper. Okay, so if you look at this image, exposing for the ambient is what allows me to get that nice blue sky in the background. If I did not expose for the ambient and I only exposed for the model, then that blue sky would be blown out. So in terms of exposing for your subject and exposing for your ambient when you're using off-camera flash, you always want to expose for your ambient lighting, which will be your background. What's in your background? You want that to be properly exposed so that you can add the flash in and essentially pop out the model. Okay, so another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with the exposure, going to the next thing on our list for today, is high speed sync. That is the second thing that I believe is critical for someone to know. And not really knowing like technically, because a lot of people don't even know that it exists until they take a picture with flash, if they have it, and their flash unit does not have high speed sync. So you get this black streak across your image and you're wondering what's going on, and then you're introduced to high speed sync. So I believe you need to know about high speed sync, just so if you're faced with any situation, you know what is going on with your flash. I think the first time that I was introduced to it was I got that image with a streak across it and I did not know what was going on. Now, the thing with high speed sync is there is a sync speed where it's normally around 1/200. Once you start going past that, you need high speed sync in order for your flash to communicate properly with your camera and get that nice image that you want. Now, if your flash does not have high speed sync, then 9 times out of 10, you probably ran into this problem already and wanted to know what was going on. And that is exactly the problem. Now, the good thing about high speed sync is that it allows you to max your shutter speed out, which is typically 1/8000 of a second. And so what this typically means is that you can shoot faster subjects, things like that. But it also means that you don't have to be as meticulous with your settings when you're outside shooting, because you don't necessarily need high speed sync for studio work, right? But if you're outside, you don't really have to worry about your shutter speed, which could be good and bad. Now, another thing about high speed sync is that you do get a power loss from your strobe unit as well when you do use high speed sync. So people tend to try to stay away from using high speed sync in some cases. And some people don't worry about it and just use it through and through. So it definitely depends on the type of photographer you are. Okay, so let's go into one of the ways that you can go get around this high speed sync is using ND filters. Now, when you use ND filters are like sunshades for your camera, and they resist the amount or prevent the amount of light that is coming into your camera. And so what that ultimately does is lets you minimize your shutter speed. Another way that you could avoid this is by increasing your f-stop. A lot of people like to shoot wide open or at f1.4, 1.2, whatever lens you have, just so that they can get that nice bokeh. But if you're not worried about that nice blurry background, then you can increase your f-stop, and that can reduce the amount of light that's coming in and allow you to prevent yourself from going into high speed sync. So high speed sync is another, I think that's probably one of the most important pieces when it comes to off camera flash that people really need to know about. And just so if you're faced with it, you are aware of the workarounds, whether it's increasing your f-stop, having ND filters, or just shooting in high speed sync. So we have our second thing. Okay. Now let's go into the third thing. Now, the third thing is more of functionality, because you should know the things that your camera or your strobe can do. And so the third thing is understanding that your strobe has a slave and master mode. And what that allows you to do is be able to communicate with other strobes. You can communicate with other strobes. So let's say you started off with the Young Newell brand, and then you decide to go with Godox. Your Young Newell isn't totally useless if it has master and slave mode. You can turn it on slave mode and allow the optical sensor to be utilized in order to trigger a flash from your main setup, which may be a Godox. So a master and slave mode functionality on your strobe can allow you to use multiple different variety of brands of lights, speed lights, strobes in unison without having to do away with something that you already have. Like I have one Young Newell and my primary strobes are Godox. But any given time, I will use that Young Newell as another light whenever I may need it because it still works. Now, the other thing is you typically need a trigger in order to initiate a flash from your strobes. Now, that is not always true because depending on what camera you have, like the camera that I started on was a Nikon D3400, and cameras like those are cameras that have a flash integrated into the camera or a pop-up flash. And so the benefit of that is when you don't have a trigger, if you don't have a trigger, you can use that pop-up flash and turn your flash into optical slave mode and use the pop-up flash on your camera to initiate a flash from your strobe. So these types of things are things that you don't necessarily know right exactly when you start off camera flash or start using flashes. And so just for someone to let you know that there is a possibility is a great thing. One of the things that I like to do is use different camera brands, and I have a Nikon trigger because the brand that I mainly use is Nikon. But I have Sony cameras as well. I have a Canon camera as well. And in order for me to be able to use my Godox lights, I have to use the pop-up flashes that are on those cameras so that they can actually flash. And so that's a great option, because I don't personally want to spend $60 to buy another trigger for a Canon brand, and then another $60 to buy a trigger for a Sony brand, and another $60 to buy, one for Fuji, just to be able to trigger the lights. Having that option is great. Now, when you get into the more professional brand cameras, then that's when they start taking the integrated pop-up flash out of the cameras, and then you would need to have that trigger. But if it's still kind of the beginner cameras like D3400, another one that I have is a Sony A6000, which are really, they are older as well. But that is something that is you are capable of doing. What's going on, Jason M? So that is something that you are able to do with flash units, and I think those are important to know, because you may just think that you can only trigger your flash with a trigger, but there are other ways to do it. So knowing slave and master mode is key, and I think a lot of people probably don't even use that, probably don't even know that it exists, because once you get your flash and you have a trigger, you set it one time and then you pretty much don't play with the other modes. You're like, okay, I got a trigger for it, so I'm going to be completely fine. Now, what I want to do is ask you all any experiences we have with off-camera flash in the chat. Do you all use off-camera flash? Let me know what brand you use. Okay, so that is the third thing, utilizing slave and master modes on flashes. Can't stress that enough. It has saved me plenty of times. Okay. Now, let's go to the fourth thing. Okay. So the fourth thing is TTL versus manual mode. Okay. So TTL versus manual mode. That is a functionality that you are able to use in your flash, but again, a lot of people go to manual and kind of stay there. How many of you have used TTL mode in your flash? I'm curious to see how many of you use TTL. I tried to use TTL one time, and it was an epic fail because of something on my hand. But once it was actually a challenge that's going to get put out. But during the challenge, we had some things that we couldn't do, so that was that. But after that, I used TTL like the rest of the day, and it is kind of like a auto button for flash power. It kind of looks through the lens and does like the estimation on what the flash power should be, given the settings that you have already applied to the image, or your ISO, shutter speed and your f-stop. Now, all right, we got the Godox 8200. Yeah, so I don't know how. Yeah, that's one thing that I know. A lot of people don't use TTL. It's just like you go to manual and that's it. But one thing that I will say, and this kind of goes with exposure. So I'm gonna take a step back because we were talking about exposing for your ambient lighting versus exposing for your model. This is a big thing that can be helpful for someone with a lot of times we have time to play with the settings, and so it's not as critical that we get the settings correct the first time when we are outside. But this might be some information that you could use. So I was using this one of these pictures as an example that exposing for your ambient lighting. A lot of times, like if you think about it, a beginner or someone who may be new to photography, when we just throw that concept of exposing for your ambient out there, it may not necessarily stick, because I know when I first started, I was still stuck like a deer in the headlights saying, all right, what exactly do you mean expose for your ambient? Like, I'm a hands-on type of person. So even though you're saying it's not really sticking with me. So exposing for the ambient is essentially get that exposure nice and pleasant, that looks good to the eye, regardless of what your model looks like or your subject look like. So in this picture, it would be the sky that I'm kind of aiming for. I want that sky to be blue like that and not blown out, right? So that's exposing for your ambient. And then you use the flash to pop out your subject. And that concept seems easy, right? After you've been doing it for so long. But when you're just starting out, you still kind of like, what's going on? You're looking at manual mode and you still kind of like, what does 1/2 mean? What, I can zoom my flash. What does that mean? So just breaking down these things are critical. And one thing I don't know if you all do, when I talk about being able to minimize the amount of steps it takes to get that image that you like, is making sure that you turn off your trigger while you are exposing for the ambient lighting. Make sure you turn off your trigger while you expose for that ambient lighting, because that trigger has an effect on that image so that you can see. Because when you turn it on, you can see that screen get brighter, a lot of things happen. So you don't want that trigger to affect your settings. So you turn that trigger off, and then you expose for your background, your ambient lighting, as we say. And then once you get that if you're looking at a sky, once you get that sky nice and blue, no matter how dark the model is, the model could be pitch black, but as long as that sky is blue, we have an exposure for that background or the ambient light that is tasteful and we like. And so from there, we turn that trigger back on. And when we turn the trigger back on, now we adjust the power. That can save your shot tremendously. Now, let's see how many of you all turn your trigger off and expose for your ambient lighting, and then turn your trigger back on, and then put your power setting in? Or do you all shoot and play with the setting and like, nah, let me turn, that's too bright. Let me turn that down. Hold on. Then you're like, test shot. Ooh, almost. That's almost where I want it. Okay, hold on. We're gonna raise that up 2/3. Yep, 2/3. Okay. Well, I know we got some people guilty in here. I know we do. So let's see if I use TCM feature only. Okay, TCM. What's going on, J Mitch? So that's the thing. So yeah, so if you haven't tried, so in general, you through the lens, TCM, manual, through the lens, if you're just starting out, is a great feature to have. Almost all the time, you're gonna have a decent image. Now, it does kind of limit you in terms of creativity, because with manual, like I said, the TTL, it gives you that estimate. It's estimating for you what the lighting quality should be. Whereas the manual mode, now if you like dramatic, you have control over that. If you like high key, you have control over that. So it's just a matter of having kind of more control over the situation. And also, you have another little thing called exposure compensation that can come in handy as well. And most of the time, I always use exposure compensation, which kind of saves you a little bit, and I shoot underexposed. So you have like several things like that can aid you. So let's see. So is that kind of the workflow? That's we need we need hands when you use off-camera flash. Let me know in the comments. When you use off-camera flash, do you turn your trigger off first and then get the exposure for your background correct, and then turn your trigger back on and get your power right? Or that's the first person, or you got the second person that actually use a light meter, and then you have the third person that takes a test shot and you're like, oh nah, hold on, let me turn this shutter up, and then test shot, oh, let me turn this power down, test shot. Which one are you? Are you Mr. or Mrs. Test Shot, or are you or you have a systematic approach? Which one are you? One, Jason, 1 and 3. All of the above. It depends on the situation, right? Okay, now how many of you use TTL versus manual? We got TCM out also. So let me know. Do you use TTL, TCM, manual? What is your preferred method for controlling your lighting? Okay. So Leroy, all above in the situation. Manual for the shot. I think that a lot of people start with manual, and that's just it. Now, you also have the zoom feature on on flashes like speed lights that I feel like don't really get utilized like that. I feel like it's kind of there, but people don't really zoom in to 70 millimeters or 24, zoom out back out to 24. Rarely ever use TTL. I could probably say I never use it. So it's manual only. And 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 do you all feel like using TTL kind of inhibits you or inhibits your creativity in terms of getting a certain look that you may want? TTL in theory is like very useful. I've just never tried it in practice. Yeah, so I've used TTL for an entire day just to see what my images would come out as, but I compensated using TTL with the exposure adjustment, exposure compensation, and probably went down maybe 2/3 of a stop just to compensate for TTL. I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket, so I was letting TTL do the work, but also trying to save myself on the back end just in case the shot might have been blown out or too much power from the TTL estimation through the lens, because the thing that I will say, and I think I speak for everybody when I say this, is that I would much rather an image to be underexposed than overexposed, because while these cameras have dynamic range, that sometimes them overexposed highlights just don't come back right. So underexposed, I would much rather that. 1000%. So I could use TTL. I could see TTL being useful in running gun situations, and TCM being very useful in studio. Yeah, I agree with that. Because we have both sets of users, but it's interesting how we all typically just go to manual, and that's even with the camera. A lot of the times we go manual. Now, sometimes you got like shutter priority, things like that, but for the most part, I think when I did manual, I didn't have too much of a clue of what was going on, but it's kind of like being thrown in the deep end and just like figuring it out, and watching a video here and there, and then slowly starting to understand what's going on. And then you have like those aha moments where you like, that's why that was doing that, because I should have been at a higher shutter speed. And you start gaining that knowledge like that. So that's kind of like the ins and outs versus some people that actually go to school for it, and not YouTube University. But then also being practical and going out and actually doing photography with models and taking those pictures and things like that. Like, I can't stress to you how much that can allow you to play with the flash photography and start to see results in your images, because getting that exposure right is a lot. I use AV a lot and auto ISO 80% of the time outside of using off-camera flash. That's an interesting combo with the auto ISO or auto auto ISO. But auto ISO can be tricky. Like sometimes I remember I had a situation where I was using my camera and I could have swore I had it on manual ISO and it was on auto. So I was in the basement. This was like 2018 and I'm taking pictures and it is on auto ISO. This is with a D3400. So the ISO was just cranked up and those pictures had so much grain on it. It was crazy. I was like, oh man. So watching out for those settings too. That's a whole nother situation right there. Now, another thing that I want to touch on that I believe is important for people doing off-camera flash is, now this right here is like a whole entire course, right? But effectively, you can sum it up, and that is the inverse square law of lighting. Now, when I'm in the basement or my studio setup, like that law right there is like religiously, I mean, anytime you use a light, right, it's in effect. But that law is like what I am using religiously to get the looks that I am getting. Like when I get moody shots, I know exactly what I'm doing to get that moody shot. I know that if I put that light in front of that model, then I'm going to get that nice exposure on the model, and then I can get some dramatic fall off. And so I can have my backdrop really moody. Or if I back my light source up, then, I'm going to have less light the further I go back, but then a better spread of light, right? So those things are what you have to understand and, just kind of be aware of that. Sometimes you kind of just think of it like, oh, if I back the light up, then okay, I'm gonna get a bigger spread of light. But the exposure on my subject is going to take a toll. So now I have to increase the power of my light, right? So what it says is that the distance is inversely proportional to the light quantity. So you can take that and go far to understand what at the distance from the light source to your model or subject, what the light quantity is at that point. Now, if you wanted to be like super technical, and you could definitely tell what that light source would be if you're like using a 300 watt second light and your person is 1 meter away and you do that math, right? But most of us, we just set up and we take that picture. But I think at the least, just knowing that it exists and reading and understanding it is good enough for someone, because it is a lot to take in on the first kind of glance. So we have the 5 things, and what I want you all to tell me is, give me one thing that you feel like is important for someone to know. Doesn't necessarily have to be a beginner. It could be someone that's well in deep with flash photography. What is one thing that you would say is important for them to know about flash photography? If you were going to say something to someone else, give someone else some advice, like, hey, out of all things, if I could tell you anything about flash photography, what would that thing be? What would that thing be? I try to think about, put that in the comments, and we are going to circle back to it. But I try to think about, like, when I first started off, and just try to use what I did not know to bring to the forefront, because I think it is a big thing for a lot of people. You don't necessarily know it, but you start to learn whatever that thing may be, and then you get used to doing it so much. Just like one of the things that I keep harping on is exposing for your ambient. Like, listen, when I first started 2020, at the end of 2019, when I started this channel, that is when I first picked up a camera, to take portraits. I had got a young Newell, and I kept watching all these videos, and all these videos kept telling me, make sure you expose for your ambient. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? I just, it just didn't click for me. And like I said, I'm a hands-on person, so I keep trying to see, like, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? And when you get a nice, solid, concrete example of exposing for your ambient, and then you have a model in that same shot, and exposing for your ambient causes your model to go dark, then you're like, oh, my model is dark. So this is where the flash comes in, because I can pop her out with this, right? So that is like, that's like a critical thing that I always try to think about myself back then, because when you think about those moments, like, people still have those questions. People still struggle with those pieces. And that's where essentially this video came from, is trying to tackle some of those thoughts that you may have when you initially start, because some people still don't use flash simply because they are like, no, that is too much. It's too complicated. It's scary. So, trying to break it down and show, like, no, you can definitely do it. It's not as bad, right? Okay, so Philander, what's going on? What's going on? Otis Robinson, what's going on? Steve Bird, you're not alone on that. Yeah, so I'm trying to see if you all had to tell somebody about flash photography, if you can give them one piece of advice, because I know people will probably be watching this video back and looking in the chat. So I want to also include you all's perspectives as well, because a lot of people have the same problems, or same type of situations that they run in. And so if you could say one thing about flash photography, what would that be? Now, if you're just tuning in, I basically wanted to highlight, if I could give them 5 things that they should kind of know about off-camera flash, I wanted to highlight 5 things that I thought, that kind of struck me immediately. And I'll go back over that. One of the key things was high-speed sync. I felt like high-speed sync, and knowing of it and knowing it exists, and the benefits, just because a lot of people buy strobes initially, and you don't know about high speed sync, right? Like, I didn't know about high speed sync until I ran into the problem of having that black image. So if I could save somebody else from going through that, that's like the reason that I'm making this video right here. It's like, oh, you probably don't know this, but high speed sync is this, and we covered it already. But high speed sync, if you're gonna get a flash, understand like what you're trying to do. If you want that bokeh, if you don't want to spend money on a high speed sync, then okay, here are your options. You have the ND filters and you have f-stops to play with. So, kind of pick your poison, and all of them have trade-offs. So high speed sync was one thing for me. Trails photography, what's going on? So yeah, let me know, y'all, one thing y'all would say about flash photography if y'all was giving advice to somebody else. All right, so high speed sync was one. Exposing for the ambient. Exposing for the ambient. Man. Exposing for the ambient is really like the key to the start of a great photo. It's like the key to the start of a great photo. When you have that exposure, you expose for that ambient, you expose for that background. And exposing simply meaning make that background look pleasing to your eye. If you look through your camera, or if you on a new day and age and you don't actually look through the high or the viewfinder, and you sitting back, you looking through the screen like this, you looking at the screen like this, make sure what you see on the back of that screen is what you see with your real eyes, right? Like, if it's a nice blue sky in real life, change those settings so that you can see that nice blue sky on that screen as well. So that is exposing for your ambient, and then using your flash to pop out your subject. So that was the second thing. Now, the third thing we just talked about was the inverse square law, which I think a lot of the times, unknowingly, it's in effect like 1000% of the time, right? Like, in my studio, I am limited by space, but I know that if I want a full body shot, then I'm going to have to pull my light source further back so I can get a wider spread. Now, another thing that comes along with that is you pull that light source back. Now, the light quantity is inversely proportional to the distance, which means that your lighting quantity is going to go down. So the further you take it back, you are going to have to increase your lighting to get that same exposure. And so one time that I definitely seen that is when I did this photo shoot. And I'm gonna let you all know, when I did this photo shoot, I had this light. I had this light. I had the light for this. It was on the Godox 8300 Pro. I needed those blinds to fill up that whole scene. So I needed to pull it back as far as I could. And so I ended up pulling it back like 20 feet. Normally I use 1/8 power because I'm about 3 feet away from the model. But since I had that gobo blinds effect you see there, to get that to cover that whole backdrop, I moved it back like 20 feet. And what happened? That 1/8 power at 20 feet away was doing completely nothing. When I say it was doing completely nothing, I had to turn it to full power and I had to increase the ISO and I had to do some Photoshop stuff just to get this image to be bright like that. That is a prime example of the inverse square law right there. I pulled it back and that 8300 at full power still was not doing too much of anything. Now I'm going to just to show you all, because it was just amazing. And this is why I tell y'all, like, I'm so glad that I keep my files, because I have an example. I shoot at 1/8 of a power, and 1/8 power at like 3 feet away from the model. So what happened? I knew that the inverse square law was in effect. So I knew 1/8 power at 3 feet away was okay. I was going to get nice lighting. But 20 feet away, I said, yeah, I got to turn this 8300 all the way up. So I turned it up all the way at 20 feet away. And y'all, look at this image. This is 100% of the power of the 8300 Pro. All right. Look at that. Still dark. That is inverse square law in full effect right there. It's at full power 20 feet away. But you totally see the difference. That is the inverse square law in effect. So what did I do? I didn't have any more power to work with. So at that point in time, that's when you start utilizing the ISO so that you can have a more sensitive sensor. And when you have a more sensitive sensor, the lighting registers a lot better, and you end up getting that more clean, polished. I'll show y'all some raw images, because y'all know I keep everything. So this is raw images, unedited. So this is me increasing the ISO, and I think I went to about maybe 500 or 640 on the ISO. I can't really remember. So you can see that effect. Okay. So mines would be, yeah, so that was the ISO I ended up using. And then also what I could have done also is I think my f-stop was at like 7.1. I could have played with that just a little bit more. I normally stay at f8, but for what I needed, it got the job done. But when I took it back 20 feet and that full power 8300 still didn't do anything, I was like, yeah, okay, we got some things going on. Let's see. Know your equipment, read the manual. Absolutely. Okay. So that would be a tip that you would give someone doing off-camera flash. And you know what? I can bet that maybe 85% of us in here probably don't read the manual, because I only went back to a manual when something wasn't working. Other than that, I pull it out the box. I'm like, we gonna make it work. But that's a great tip. All right, trails photography, custom white balance is key for me as well. Okay, yeah, custom white balance. You know what? Like that goes to style as well. Like, it's a lot of times, like when I shoot events. So lately, I used to make videos and put them on my channel, but I stopped making videos of the events that I shoot. But every once in a while I shoot an event, and when I shoot the event, I'll take my picture and I'll say, it's so many different lights going on in there that I have to go to the Kelvin scale and customize my white balance just for the tasting of my light, because I like to look at it and see it in camera. I don't want to worry about changing it when I go into the software. If I can go to, quick setting and fix it and look and be satisfied at that very moment, that's my go-to. I like to set it in camera. So custom white balance is something that I think doesn't get enough shine, honestly, because I'm always I'm like looking at my picture. I'm like, yeah, this auto ain't gonna work today. Let me set this myself. That's one of my go-tos. Tintin Mosley, what's going on, man? Philander, I learned from one of Manuel T's vids back when he was teaching. Okay, so it was a throwback. What aperture did you use? Could have lowered your aperture as well, right? Yeah, so RBJ definitely could have lowered my aperture as well. And I actually have. Y'all, look, how many of y'all keep your raw files? My earlier videos, I ain't gonna lie, I only kept the JPEGs because I ain't know what I had got myself into with this YouTube stuff. But the later versions, I did keep the raw files, and this was on the D850. So, oh man, yeah. Well, I was like partially keeping raw files, but no, I got a raw file right here. So I'm about to tell you all the EXIF data right now. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I definitely could have went lower on my f-stop. So f7.1. And then, yeah, the ISO was 320 for that shot. So it wasn't bad at all. It wasn't bad at all. But that was just a scenario that I was given for showing the fall off when it comes to exposing or inverse square low. So it's like full effect, it's in full effect, but a lot of times we don't even think about what's going on. And that is like one of the ways that I create these moody situations. Like, I'm gonna show you another one that is a direct product of using the science behind inverse square law. Because if you execute it and know what's going on, you can get so many different looks and not even have like different backdrops. Like, I only had one white backdrop for the longest time ever, and the way that these differentiate is crazy. So let's go to this one. Now I'm gonna show you all this. Now, you all already know about the studio. Now, this was one light, and this is kind of geared towards showing that you could use a speed light indoors as well and still get great studio photography quality. So this is a one light setup, and I'm demonstrating here one of the key points that I was saying that I think someone needs to know when using off-camera flash, which is inverse square law. So you have your light source close to the subject here. It's going to require less power to get a nice exposure, but then also I'm going to get a dramatic drop off right here. So I just want you all to look at, and I know you might have seen this video. If you haven't, definitely go check it out. I'll put it out on my channel. But what this is I just want you all to see like how the room is lit, my lighting setup. This is one of my go-to lighting setups, which is the butterfly lighting. And it's especially beneficial because of, limited space. But the other thing that I was pointing out in another video is that I was saying I'd rather have a light stand with a boom arm, because you see how this pole right here isn't obstructing my line of sight from the model. So I don't have to worry about this pole at all. I can just shoot directly at the model, not having to worry about, am I going to have to Photoshop the pole out? Is it going to be a problem? So that's why I prefer a light stand with a boom on it. Okay, so you see this general image right here, right? And then with the inverse square law, totally different. And that's the inverse square law in full effect right there. But sometimes we use it and we don't even know like the science behind what we are doing. Sometimes it just becomes muscle memory for us because you have done it so many times, or the look that you want, and you have experimented with so many different lighting setups that you just kind of know how to position those different things, right? So if you want moody, it's a science to being able to create that moody all the time. Everyone, even the ones that I should call. Oh, so you keeping all the images. I just looked at that folder that with the blinds effect, and I thought I kept all of the raws. I only kept a few limited ones. So I don't even have all of those ones, and that was 2021. But now I keep all of them though. D-Row, what is going on? So we are talking about if you could give advice to anyone getting into off-camera flash, what piece of advice would you give them? And also, while we are here, please drop where you are watching from. The infamous T-Mid time, and I still don't have a watch on, but I'm gonna have a watch next time. But so that was the set. So the first one was high speed sync. The second one was exposing for your background. When you want that, when you a lot of times when you use an off-camera flash, there is a disparity from using natural light, because it's kind of like a game of choosing, right? You're like, all right, if I use natural light, my background isn't going to be as nice as I would want it to be. But if I use off-camera flash, I know my background going to be nice and my model is going to be nice as well. And so that's kind of the thing that we kind of toggle with, right? So like in this case, this is exposing for the background. And if you all haven't seen this video, definitely go check it out. I did this back in 2020. But, you know, getting that nice background like that and then using the flash to pop out the model is exposing for your ambient lighting. What's going on, Scorpio 25? Got Wes, okay, Rancho Cucamonga, Tyler, Texas, Dallas, Texas. Oh, we got Texas representing in here. Come on, who else we have up in here? So that's high speed sync. That's exposing for your ambient. We just touched on the inverse square law with that other picture that I just showed you all, which is kind of like a go-to thing for me because I love having like those moody type of looks. I'm telling you. Okay, we have Tacoma, Washington. We have Northampton, UK. Thank you for tuning in, James, because I know it has to be about 2:45 in the morning in the United Kingdom, if I am not mistaken. It has to be. M. Jones, what's going on? So the inverse square law. And so that, I'm going to show you all another example. The inverse square law is another way that I use my lighting setups to get that dramatic look. And another thing, which is, you know, comes in with the tips and trips piece with this particular video that we are doing right now. See, you all are helping me make a video right now. You are a part of the creating process with T-Mid today. Now, using that inverse square law, you can get that dramatic drop off with the lighting, right? So if we talk about the inverse square law of lighting, says that the light is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the light source and the person. So let's say we have a light source here, we have a person here, right? And let's say that they are 1 meter apart. So 1 meter squared is 1 meter squared. And then if you do the inverse of that, it's still going to be 1. So that means that you are getting 100% of the light quality at that point. And as you increase the distance, then it's inversely proportional. It starts to fall off. And so then you have to increase your power to get that same exposure as if it was only 1 meter apart, right? So using that fact, I put my light source close to my model. Now, let me, I don't know if you all do it. So I don't know if you all do it, but look, I'm going through this file right now. I'm trying to think of the model that I'm trying to find, but I'll be forgetting the name sometimes. I'll be like, all right, which one is it? So and then depending on the light modifiers too. So I use that fact and add a grid, and so I get this dramatic drop off, which is what I love. But what I love about it is that when you get that dramatic drop off, that abrupt drop off, it makes for the perfect time to introduce a color gel as like a rim light or something like that. Now, these images right here, I'm going to show you one where I did that. These images I never made a video out of, so and I don't know if I would. Maybe I would. I don't know. I can't really say. We gonna maybe something to come out. But this is a exact point of where I had my light source with the model, and then getting that dramatic drop off. So you see barely any light hitting that backdrop, but then using that second light as a rim light. Now, I probably would have added another one on this side. I did this back in, it was like 2021. It could have been 2020, honestly. I can't even remember. But when you have things that just sit and collect dust, and then you don't remember anything about it. But that's a good way that you could use that. All right, so we got Springfield, Illinois. So Tog Life, every time you double the distance, you lose 75% of your light, which is great to know, because I guess, like in certain, it's really situational and depending on the space that you have. Because most of the time, if you have that modifier or that light source, the distance away from your model that the diameter of the modifier is, then if you're talking about using a 36-inch light modifier, then having it 3 feet away. If you're talking about using a 60-inch light modifier, then having it 5 feet away. And so if you're roughly in those ranges, it won't be as bad, and needing like extreme amounts of power. Just like I showed that one light off camera flash, you can use outside and you can use inside. The Godox V1 is like 76 watt seconds or 76 to 80, one of them, but it still works perfectly fine inside and outside, plus or minus some conditions. So you got a couple things going on. James, what's going on? Yeah, man, I've been really busy, but these topics came out as far as, off camera flash and studio photography, and I felt the need to talk on them to, everybody. This community is a community where everybody can learn, no matter what stage you are at, in your photography journey. Jeffrey Suggs, what is going on? So what we were saying was, make sure you drop where you are watching this live from, but also we are talking about advice that you would give for someone starting off-camera flash photography. Now, if you all could do me this favor, and maybe it might be a faint memory, but what are some things that you remembered struggling with starting off with off-camera flash? What are some things that you remember struggling with when it comes to off-camera flash? Okay, so we like dove down into the inverse square law of lighting, which I think is very important to understand, like really get down. When you talk about you want to get technical, understanding, the inverse square, that's when, you just do it. I'm just out here doing it. But then when you ask a question about it, can break down the math. I mean, y'all know I'm a math person anyway, so that type of stuff excites me a little bit. So, so I might just be, over on the left side with, the few people who care about the math behind it. But, but it's okay. Different strokes for different folks. So another thing that I said was important was the high speed sync. Exposing for the ambient was important. Inverse square law was important. TTL versus manual. Also, we have someone using TCM, so you got the TCM factor as well. And we said that a lot of people kind of go to manual and that's it. I've used manual and TTL, but not TCM. So got some flexibility there. And then another thing that I thought was important for someone to know was the functionality that strobes can have in terms of slave mode and master mode. And actually, you know what? I have an image. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I did. Okay, so Southeast DC, balancing the ambient with flash. Exactly. See, now that was the interesting thing, because the one thing that I kept saying when I got on here was that, a lot of people say balance ambient with the flash. And when I first started, I could not understand what they meant by it. What do you mean by this? And so I did an attempt of breaking that down. But you know what? I think I'm going to actually make a dedicated video for balancing the ambient with the flash and going into in depth with it with an example, because a hardcore example can make it like 10 times better than someone, because you have people that can listen and understand, and then you have people that need to actually see, have the things in their hands to understand what's going on. So the other question that we had is, what was your first flash? What was your first flash? Your first speed light, first strobe? What was that first light that you had? And I'm going to grab this other image that I use TTL with, so that you all can see like how the TTL performed. Okay. Listen, probably all y'all have like 50 million hard drives as well. So y'all know the struggle where I'm like grabbing one. I already had one connected, but this one has what I'm trying to show. And then let's listen, when I'm making this YouTube content and this 4K, everything in 4K, do y'all know how much data that take? Whew. I need to start a GoFundMe for hard drive storage. Okay, so let's see what we have. SB24. Okay. SB24. Let's see. I'm going to definitely have to rewatch this video. A lot of nuggets. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Much love. Oh yeah, Leroy. That's the thing. That is the thing that it kind of goes unnoticed, because that's what I was like saying, is that sometimes once you start doing Flash so often, everything just kind of resonates and makes sense in your head without you thinking. Just secondhand nature. You know how you're going to do it. And getting that knowledge documented for the next person is like my sole goal here. So that's why I'm also asking you all's perspective as well, as to like some things that you may have struggled with starting off with off-camera Flash, because, you know, everybody is, you know, every day somebody is starting off with off-camera Flash again. So this information can live way past me, way past us. Okay. All right. Jeffrey Suggs, Godox 860 Mark II. Photo me Ike. What's going on, bro? Okay. Leroy, Godox V1. Man, I know I got that Godox V1 like as soon as it came out. I wasn't playing. I was like, all right, so let's see. So this is a video that I'm going to eventually put out. And okay, so we were talking about TTL versus manual, and so I was letting everybody know that I use TTL. One time I had went to North Carolina, and in North Carolina we had a model with Ernesto and Bryce, and so I went live on that video. I haven't made the video yet, so I still have to make that video. But I have an image that I could show you where I use TTL, and I use TTL, and then I underexposed a little bit as well. All right, so for Lander, one piece of advice: know your equipment, how it works, and how to solve the problem, especially during a paid shoot. Listen, you don't want that problem during a paid shoot. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look, I know somebody that was having a problem at a wedding, to the point where it was something with their shutter speed, that they didn't have enough power or something to the effect where they didn't know how to adjust their settings so that they could catch everyone during the wedding coming in stride and them still being focused. So they were like kind of having to, you know, tell the person to like walk in, you know, when they calling in bridesmen, grooms, all that. They was having them come in and stop at a certain spot, take a picture, and then keep walking. And I was like, that's not good. That's not good at all. But so yeah, I definitely agree. Know your equipment. Oh, a Nikon SB80, Jordan Gordon, Godox V850 speed light was my first. Okay. James, you need to invest in a network attached storage array. Listen, you ain't lying, because I thought that I could get away with a SSD, a hard drive here and there, but the way that this data is backing up right here with these files, yeah, that's how I shoot flash only. So you, oh, okay. Always manual in my world. Okay, got you. Okay, Philander, Godox TT600, DP, what's going on? The good new days. I be using that light meter, or shoot till I get it right. Oh yeah, you one of those. I was just talking about which type of photographer are you? Are you a light meter person? Are you a shoot until you get it right person? And the other thing I was saying was, do you all turn off your trigger and expose for your ambient first? Because you know that trigger adds an effect on your screen so that you can see everything, right? So it's better to turn your trigger off and then get the exposure right for your ambient, and then turn your trigger back on, and then set your lighting. You know, a lot of us have time to just shoot till you get it right, but if you wanted to save some steps, it could help at least with making sure that your ambient is right. So that's one thing that we were seeing. Let's see. Coordinating the wedding director, tell them slow down. Yeah, but you know, at the same time, you have to know your equipment to the point where you don't have to ask people to slow down. I mean, but if you want a shot, yeah, fine, cool. Tell them slow down. But for the most part, it shouldn't be, oh, I need them to physically slow down because I don't know how to adjust my camera settings in order to get the shot while they are in stride. Because if they moving, the picture coming out blurry. Come on now, it shouldn't be. That should not be the reason. It should be, oh, they look so eloquent, they look beautiful. Just slow down right there, because I like how those props are right there. So let's do it right there. But not because, oh, I don't know what the setting should be because they moving too fast. Nah, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. So we were asking if anybody else used TTL. So I'm going to show you all a picture from when I was in North Carolina, and I used TTL the entire time. So here we are. So when y'all see this video come out, just know that y'all got an exclusive look at the images. So if we look at this image, what I had noticed was like TTL is going to get that exposure like just right. And the thing about that for me is that I am like a moody person. So sometimes even if that exposure is like what it's supposed to be, like even going back to using a light meter, right? Like I've used light meters because I started with using film cameras because my brother has like endless film cameras. So I had to use a light meter. And so transitioning that to digital format, even when that exposure says that it is spot on with a light meter, since I'm a moody type of person, I still would not want the exposure right there. Like I will always find myself like, yeah, it's nice, but I still like it just a little bit darker. I mean, look at my screen right now. I got the mood going on. We got the vibes going on. We tuned in with T to the M to the IDD on this Tuesday night jam. You know, I just like setting the vibe, and it transitions into my images as well. So immediately what I notice with using TTL mode is that exposure is going to be right. That exposure is going to be right. So, you can adjust it with the settings. You can adjust it with your settings, but for the most part, it does a great job at getting that exposure correct. And so let's go through. So let me also let y'all know with these particular shots that I was not with these shots y'all about to see, because they probably about to be everywhere. I just want to put out this disclaimer. I wasn't the main shooter directing these shots. I was trying to get shots like on the side of somebody who was actually setting up the shot. So I kind of was just getting what I could get, just because I wanted to test out the TTL mode. So let me show y'all some of these TTL photos. What's going on, Till? Okay. So we have this was pretty nice. Just the angle. But we have raw files too. So let's see if that raw file flatten out. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's see. No. So I know most people just use manual. So we have the main things, in terms of what you would say with off-camera flash. I think pretty much everybody, oh yeah, I appreciate y'all giving me a like as well, but pretty much everybody, kind of said what their main flash was. And what was your reason for getting into flash photography? What was that thing that said, oh, I want to do flash? Was it you seen a picture somewhere and was like, how did they get that to look like that? Or what was that thing for you that kind of made you go towards that? Bree Images, what's going on? Let me know what sparked you. That pop of on the skin. Yeah, that pop on the skin is crazy. Now I always like to kind of like eyeball everything, especially outside. Like, using a light meter outside, kind of like, I'm gonna show you all. Like I got everything archived, y'all. Like it's so convenient to be able to be like, oh yeah, let me go to this. Let me go to this image right here and show y'all this. All right, Earl Warren being able to create any mood. That is just a fact. Like the fact that you can have so much control over your creativity with Flash is crazy. Is crazy. Anthony Miller got tired of blowing out backgrounds with Flash. You can control how your background looks and how your talent looks. Anthony Miller, that is a great point. That was one of my key points that I put, because this title was 5 things you should know about off-camera Flash. And that was a key point of knowing exposure perspectives. And when I say exposure perspectives, I simply mean knowing the difference between exposing for your background and exposing for your subject. And, let's just say it, you got foreground elements too. So maybe the foreground element could be a piece that, you are interested as well. But being able to expose for those things and control how you set the mood and the look of the image is a big benefit of using Flash, which I think comes down to people understanding like the true use of Flash. Now you might have some that argue with you and say, well, I feel like I can get my background not to be blown out and my subject to look good without Flash. So we probably could start a debate in here for some natural light folks, but it does take a little bit more skill to be able to do that. I feel like with the natural light. Now, let's see, and I'm going to actually, because you say you control your subject, I'm going to show you this image. Now, y'all know pretty much every image that I show, I have a video for, so you can check it out at your own convenience or leisure. Now, some of them in this video, man, y'all, I did this video in 2020, I believe. Ain't that something? Time fly when you having fun making YouTube videos. I appreciate y'all watching my YouTube videos, by the way, because that's the only reason why these videos keep getting made. Because it definitely ain't the money. It ain't the money. I'm gonna tell y'all that now. So yeah, so that image we have right there. Okay, so let's see. Coming, Joel Hall. Hold on, I done missed something. Y'all went, okay. Don't be playing in the gym. Don't hurt him, T-Mag. What's going on, Joel Hall? Coming for Tog Life. Let's see. Jordan had to learn Flash because I'd be wasting too many sunset possibilities for clients here in Jamaica. That's what, hey, listen, that Jamaica sunset, whoo, I like being able to add a little dimension to the details. I don't like it too obvious though. Go ahead, Bree, go ahead and expand on your thoughts. Do you expose for ambient to cut it all out in studio? So that's a good question. So in the studio, what I do is pretty much expose for the ambient to cut it all out. Now, I did have a situation which I was just showing some of these pictures, but I'm going to let me show you all where I was saying that you could still get a nice background with natural light and still make your subject pop. So this is a recent shoot that I did. I didn't make a video to this yet, but we do have a live. But this is natural light right here. And you have a background that is not blown out and you still have a subject that is popping. And so, it takes a little bit more technique to understand like your lighting and things like that to get that type of look without having a flash, where I feel like a flash is like a flash is like a cheat code, to be honest. That's how I would explain having a flash. I'm gonna say a flash is like having a cheat code. You don't really care what you are going against, especially if you have like an 8600 or something like that, or if you just balling out, you got all the money and you got a 80-1200. Oh, you not worried about anything. You like the sun is out. It's like you like, what sun? I don't care about the sun. But to answer your question, Till, at first I was exposing for my ambient in my studio to eliminate all the lighting. However, I had this one problem, which was the recess lighting in my house was still overpowering my shot. And you could see that right here in this shot right here. So let me pull this out and show you this screen. Okay, so typically I do expose to get all the lighting out, but you see that warm spot on the floor? That's recess lighting that was like still more powerful than my lights. Now, this is before I adjusted things for my regular light, but you can still see that it's showing up, right? So it comes to a certain point where I'm like, all right, I'm not about to be shooting at full power just to eliminate that and push it to its limit. So what I ended up doing was, instead of using that light, because my recess lights was the light to light up the scene for my behind the scenes video, what I ended up doing was getting the lights that came with like my Easy Mark kit and using those lights, because they took less power. So it was much more easier to overpower those lights while they were on than my recess lights. Those recess lights, they wasn't nothing to play with. They were just showing up in every image. And I'm like, man, I am almost at like full power, 300 watts. Like, what more do y'all want? They like, yeah, they were built for tough. I got back in this week. So, Bree, everyone should be proud of me. I went to the gym. Just thought it was part of the business until I realized flash looked better. Listen, hey, you. So in this chat, let me know, off-camera flash or natural light. Which one do you prefer? Let's stir it up just a little bit to see what do you prefer. And if you haven't dropped where you watching from, let me know where you are watching from, because I appreciate you watching. All right, Bree, when I use flash in the studio and outdoors, I want it to look as natural as possible. Some people's photos look fake because of the amount of flash that is used. Just not my style. Yeah, so we have different strokes for different folks. When I first started, oh man, you couldn't tell me nothing. It would be 2 p.m. But guess what? It looked like it's 9 p.m. outside. That used to be one of my biggest go-tos. I used to kill the ambient to the point where it was 2 o'clock outside. It looked like it was 9 o'clock. But for some reason, I used to love that look. But nowadays, I find myself more so just balancing it, like literally balancing it. Like I used to be outside like, oh, it's 2 p.m. No problem. I can handle that. It's about to look like 9 p.m. after I get done. and I'm trying to see because actually I have one right because I like to give y'all examples to reference exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me just share my screen. This is an example. Like it was not this dark outside. It was not this dark outside. But guess what? T-Med made it that dark. T-Med definitely made it that dark. It's gonna be dark today. and that's kind of like how it started for me with Flash. But then after time, it started shifting more to, I just want this really to look more natural, more balanced. I want it to look like almost like there is no flash used right here. And so when you get that nice balance, then and I guess over time what you like starts to change, right? So you all probably seen this video. If you haven't, definitely check it out. But my style changed to wanting it to look more natural like this. So I went from like a dark, moody type of person outside to a like seriously like balanced. All right, so let's see what the verdict is. What's going on, Charles? So we got a nice decent verdict, actually. Yeah, I don't want them to. Same here. The subject should not be blown out. Front flashlight, yeah. All right, so we got flash. Oh, Charles with the natty, Jordan with the flash, Leroy with the off-camera flash all day. The flash unlocked the door for me. D-Row off-camera flash, especially because it freezes motion. That's a fact right there. That's a great point to put out, for people using flash versus, continuous lighting. The flash freezes motion better. We got Florence, South Carolina. Teal off-camera flash. I like both of them, depending on the story I'm trying to tell. Complex, okay. Have you done a lot of off-camera flash during blue hour? I have done some, and I think that last picture was actually like one of them. But one thing I will say is that during that time, sometimes though, like that blue hour, is when I would prefer to go natural light because I'm getting like some even lighting right there. So at that point, I kind of can step off of the flash and just go straight natural light. That's kind of what I typically do. I appreciate it, y'all. I don't know which picture y'all was talking about, but oh yeah, the T-Med, can you share your settings for the natural light photo you shared? So for the natural light photo, let me let me pull up my details. Now, the image that I shared for that natural light, let me pull it up really quick, and I will read off the settings. What I was initially going for was a backlit situation, but what ended up happening was some clouds started to coming in and covered the sun, so I didn't really get to use the sun as a backlight, which I would have loved even more, because it would have been like peeking through the tree canopy, and so it wouldn't have been a problem as far as exposure. It just would have added a nice element onto her hair, as far as like kind of like a hair light / rim light, depending on how it came through the trees. But the clouds started covering everything, and then that was that. So, all right, so this image right here with the natural light, I'm gonna let you know the settings on this image right here. And I think, if I'm correct, it was about 5 p.m. Oh, what a green outfit, model, and location. I know I did. I tried to do the best that I could with the outfit that I had chose, and my model, and my location for that Nikon shoot. Obviously, I did a great job if Nikon wanted to feature the images. So I was pretty happy with the turnout there. So I appreciate that. Balancing flash and ambient helps me with underexposing legs when shooting outdoors. Hey, that is another one right there. I'm telling you. All right, so that image, okay, Philander, OCF, Brandon Hines, what's going on? So we only had like two people that preferred natural light. Oh, well, we had some people that said both. Okay. All right. So that image that you see, you wanted to know the settings. So the settings on that image was, this was the Nikon Z7 II. It was the 85 millimeter, and I was at f1.4. The ISO was at 100, and the exposure was at 1/500th of a second. And I can show you. Let me show y'all right here. Yeah. So there we go. The settings right there. And that's what we pretty much got. So it was a nice setting to be able to use a natural light. And so that's why I say, like, using that. And I'm actually gonna have a video on natural light also, so stay tuned for that. But you know, it definitely takes some getting used to. MIP Studios, thank you, I appreciate it. So you definitely have to, know a few things to get that look that you want when it comes to natural light. And actually, let me see. So this was another one that we had, and then let's see if I can And all of these are natural light. And part of it is, sometimes I have to push myself to use natural light. So I'll do something like bring a light that's not going to do too much for me. So that way I'm forced to be like, okay, let me find the good light in this situation. But it all typically works out. So Charles, all y'all could take a year off and I still wouldn't be caught up. Listen, this channel is about bringing everybody where they at and everybody moving forward together. So everybody exchanging knowledge, everybody exchanging experiences, because we have people that shoot different things. So when you have that, like you have people that shoot animals, and you never know their perspective on things, especially when you talk about eye autofocus and how many people were worried about eye autofocus in animals more than, in people. That says a lot to how important it is for the genre. So let's see. We need that. I have a shoot out of town and Unreal don't want to travel with the 60-inch softbox and 8400 Pro. Oh yeah, you got that heavy setup, so you definitely have that cart with you too. That's a guarantee. You gotta have the cart with you at all times. I appreciate the likes, y'all. I appreciate the likes. And I think like it's a great topic, like, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you all, just to see what problems you all have had with Flash. And I kind of just jotted it down, but I think for sure one of the biggest things, did you all buy a Flash and then run into the fact that it didn't have high-speed sync? Let me know if you ran into that problem. Did you know about it beforehand, or did you find out about high-speed sync because you bought a Flash that did not have it, and then you got that image that had that black streak across it, and you're like, I don't know what is going on right here? And maybe you went to a camera forum and put your picture in there and said, hey guys, I'm having this problem. Can you all tell me why is my image doing this? Because that's what happens a lot. Let me see. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate every like that I can get. I appreciate y'all taking the time to tune in as well, though, because that's what it's all about. I had another thing that we didn't talk about is recycle times. Now, I had a error with my recycle time on this photo shoot right here, and I put a video on this, so if you didn't check this video out, definitely go and check it out. This was the first time I used the smoke machine. But you see, if I could have changed this, I would use the Flash on the other side as well with the same color gel, and it would have been I still got some great images out of it. But the thing about creativity is that you never know what you're gonna get, right? So the fact that the recycle time on my flash was not great at this point, because I did this like at the end of 2020, but I just put this video out like maybe 2022. Yeah. That lets y'all know how long I be sitting on stuff. Because I did this video like in 2020, but I just literally put it out. But what I'm saying is the recycling time is important, and you can play with the recycling time two is like two different ways. One thing that I think that we don't take advantage of with using flash is we don't take advantage of the fact that our cameras have such a high tolerance for noise in our camera. And what I mean by that is pushing your ISO to the limits. Like if you are doing an event and you know you're going to be using that flash on your camera like for hours, take advantage of the ISO capability in your camera. If your camera can go to 2000 ISO and still look clean, push it to 2000 ISO, because what is it going to do? It's going to be a trade-off on your flash unit. Now you don't have to shoot at half a power on your flash. Now you probably can shoot your flash at 1/256 of power, because your ISO is at 2000. So now you use way less power, and now that flash is going to last for the whole night, the next day after that, the next day after that. So you have to remember things like that when you are working, like work smarter in those situations. That's one thing that I think that we do not utilize. If your camera can push 2000 ISO, 2500 is around where it starts to get tweaky, but 3000 ISO, push that. Like if you are in a event, set that ISO to 2000 and then adjust everything up. I promise you, you will save power on your flash, and you won't have to worry about an extra battery. I'm telling you. Yeah, you could get an extra battery too. I mean, 9 times out of 10 you have an extra battery, right? But if your camera can do it, why not push it? I've done that plenty of times. I've been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be at this place for 8 hours. I'm like, okay, my camera 2000 ISO still look clean. Okay, we're gonna keep this ISO at 2000, and then we're going to change everything else. At an event, a f-stop at 2.8 is like perfectly fine, right? So now we're looking at a shutter speed, which is probably going to be at like 1/200 just to catch most of the motion. So at that rate, your flash speed, your flash power probably doesn't even have to be 1/32. Like it's significantly decreased. So you get like a lot on the back end. Get a golf bag carrier to travel with your larger items. Oh yeah, so that was one piece of information that I wanted to tell you all, is to make sure you utilize the strengths of these cameras nowadays, being as though that they can, push their ISO that far along. The second thing is that I was sharing the image and talking about recycle times, and sometimes those flash recycle times can be a bit slower depending on which units you are working with. So if I'm using a Godox MS300 and a Godox V1, of course my V1 probably isn't going to recycle as quick as the 300, especially depending on the power settings. But in that, it creates some pretty interesting images. So one right here, my flash did not recycle the rim light, but I ended up liking this image. It did not recycle, but I love the way this image came out. Y'all let me know. Like, it did not recycle. This is with it. I kind of almost like it without it. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Like it just looks so much like, I mean, I guess I'm a moody guy too, but the fact that it didn't flash, but it still came out like fire. So I was going to say call me Behinds because that's my nickname, as is my screen name in college. Without is fly. Yeah, you see, so like in the moments of us creating, like creativity can just pop out of nowhere without you like even trying. I mean, I was going for a certain look right there where I did end up getting like a dope image from that. But I just wanted to show you all like what else can come out of those things. So like this was one of the final products that I ended up getting. And I'm pretty sure I showed you all this before. You probably seen the video and some more stuff. This the behind the scenes setup. And this is with a Godox V1 and a snoot. So just check that setup out. This is a Godox V1 and a snoot on top of it. And also, take this how y'all know this video old. Check out the light stand. This is the T-Mid throwback light stand right here. that's look, if I ever put out a video, you want to know how old it is? Just check the light stand. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's 2020 T-Mid right there. That's 2020 right there, easy. Yeah, happy little accidents. I got a media pass, so I save on the travel costs. Yeah, that he's talking about some media passes for another event. So we have they have Photo Plus coming up. How many of you all coming out to Photo Plus? Appreciate the likes, you all. Definitely appreciate the likes because the last, y'all probably seen 5 things titled in a video for the last couple videos, but one video led to the next video, and I felt like it was important, so I said we're gonna make another video. And guess what? I have another video that we're gonna make because I just feel like it's important. So I'm a 5 things you to death. Because I still have to edit some of those other things as well. So y'all have to let me know. You got some things coming in. Okay. So we have, let's see. Oh man, when I finally decided to purchase my 8200 flash, I had already researched the value of high speed sync. So you was already 10 steps ahead. And that's what, oh, okay, man, I don't know how I missed all these comments. Yeah, I be forgetting about that. Bree, what up? Yeah, I push ISO all the time. Ain't never scared. That's what I'm saying. Team, push that ISO. Push it to the limits. So Photo Plus is going to be in New York this year. And it's called Create NYC. Bree Images. Photography. Hold on, is that hold on, did you change your screen picture, or is that a different Bree? Because it is another person with a Bree Images Photography also. Where is this Photo Plus? Yeah. Nah, Photo Plus is in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. Imaging USA is in Nashville. So we got two situations going on. Yeah, September 29th to, yep. 2 accounts. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, we need T-Med, we need a subscription from all accounts. I know y'all got like throwaway accounts, sub to everything. Charles Davis, you got the Chad account. Hey, we need everything on these smaller channels. So yeah. All right, so we went over the 5 things. Is it anything else that you all can think of that you feel like is important for someone to know about off-camera flash? Speak now. Don't hold your peace. No, it's going to be Photo Plus is going to be in New York. Imaging USA is going to be in Nashville. So make sure and WPPI Las Vegas. You know, it's a little time away, but I want everybody to come out. So plan ahead for it. I promise you, like, it is a great time, a great getaway. Like, if you just need that time to just be around like-minded individuals that just want to create and enjoy themselves, it's the place to come. Like me personally, all I want to do is have fun. I don't care about if I take a picture or not. If I can gritty and do a little dance, then I'm okay. That's all I need to do. y'all could get all the images. I don't care about that. As long as I could do a gritty dance and and have my fun like that and get a nice plate, then we are A-OK with T-Med. I wish, let's see. It seems backwards. The further away, the harsher light. Yeah. I wish I would if I could. Charles, man, definitely. If any way possible, I think you'll have a great time. I ain't ever been to Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee is where Photo Plus. So Photo Plus is called Create NYC now. So that is going to be in New York. Imaging USA is going to be in Nashville. Oh, got you, Charles. Got you. Yeah, so, everybody, if you can, definitely plan to come out. It definitely would be, fun to engage with everybody in person. I think that adds a different level, a different aspect, to see the people that support your channel day in and day out as far as creating. And you can't go wrong with that. So we have the main things: high speed sync, exposing for your ambient, controlling the environment, especially like the studio. Studio is great because you get to control your lighting the most. You have the most control over everything. the inverse square law of lighting, TTL versus manual, and then we also we also have the TCM, and then the slave and master mode. Oh, I already got my room reserved for WPPI. Yeah, hey, Philander about to have everybody going to Nashville. You gonna get to Nashville, you gonna be like, ain't nothing going on right here. They gonna be like, nah, that's in New York. Oh man. Look, we got rooms reserved for WPPI. Look, WPPI is definitely one you need to look at. Okay, a tip for OCF. When I shoot outdoors in shade, I put a 1-inch strip of 1/4 CTB in front of the light, then warm it in post. Ah, that's pretty interesting. Because I know we were talking about how, sometimes I set like a custom Kelvin for how I want things to look. So, where are you watching from, Manila, Martin? And if you haven't, let me know. Let me know where you watching from as well. But we have a great a great set of events coming down the pipeline. Even need to try to get some things like in the intermittent stages, just between events, because I feel like it should be more times that creatives can engage with one another, right? So that actually is a great segue. Watching from the Philippines. Oh, okay. Thank you for tuning in. But I used to work for Play Special Editions USA back in the day. Oh, Playboy. Oh man. We got a heavy hitter, huh? WPPI was lit. I'll be ready next year. Listen, you gotta come every time. It's a must now. Like, I don't think I will miss another one. It was my first one this year, but I don't think I would miss another one, because that's how much fun you have. Now, let me see. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you would like to share your image with me live, T to the M to the IDD, you can tune in to my Instagram live and share your latest image with me. So if you want to share your image, tomorrow is the day to tune in. Maybe you could try a lower angle position of off-camera flash pointing up towards the model or subject. Yeah, it was like Omni depends on what. So yeah, this is tomorrow. So if you're interested, tune in. If you want to go live with me, tune in. If you want to just send your image and I share it, there's my email address right there. You can also find it in the description. But tomorrow is going to be a great time as well. You all know I've been live like 3 days back to back to back to back. But talking about that low angle. Well, let's see. It was giving me a warning. Ooh. Let me grab my other light, y'all. Technical. Oh, y'all see this silhouette though? See, this is what I'm talking about. Hold on, this might be the mood. This might be the mood. This the slow down time. We ain't about to fix nothing. This the slow down time with T Mid late night. All right, y'all know what the vibe is. Y'all know what the vibe is. This is live with T Mid, and we're gonna turn it down now. Okay. Now, what we talking about? So not a heavy hitter, but we used to use color meters, warm skin, 4800 Kelvin, using a one strip CTO in front of our main lights. Okay. That's nice seeing the setup right there. Listen, y'all know the downtown. We got the RGB lights in the back. Okay. Oh, I'm giving somebody some watch time. Hold on, I gotta stop that because I don't even know what my computer on right now. Okay, we back. So, like I was saying, y'all, it is going to be. Come on, Nikon, show them that low light capability. All right. Oh, there we go. Y'all see that That's Nikon for you. That is Nikon. Pitch dark up in here. Y'all see what it's doing. Still finding me, okay? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. So should you bring your own strobes to WPPI? So yes, that is a great question. You can definitely bring your own strobes. It's definitely beneficial. People do let you use theirs as well, but some people was acting a little shady sometimes. So yeah, it's best to bring your own for sure. That KRP, listen, my children. Somebody get this man out of here. Listen, y'all gonna get everything on this the smooth slow down. That's what I need. Only thing I need right now, I just need a hair light right here, just to get that silhouette right. I know I got another RGB light. I don't know where it's at, but we get that. Let me see. We get that hair light popping like that. Oh man, we in business right here. I ain't going that right there. What y'all think? Now that's at a mood right there. I kinda like the full silhouette, but we can rock with that. We got the vibes over here, y'all. All right. So this is this is a prime practical example. When you light a model from a low angle, you get like this, what they refer to as like a scary movie type effect, which a lot of people don't really like when you do that. So you will get ripped apart in a lot of cases if you light your model like this. Your camera is Z7 II. Yeah, that's a Z7 II. Starting out, how do you find models? So let's see. We have some soft jazz playing in the background. I'm telling you, you feel the vibes, Charles? I'm telling you, I got some jazz in the background. You can't tell me nothing. Oh. Can't tell me nothing. Look, y'all about to have me up in here. Y'all see I got the microphone, right? I'm about to be up in here spitting some bars for real. I don't want to give y'all too much though. I don't want to give y'all too much because I might get the going. Somebody put the beat on for me. I can hear y'all. Put the beat on. Somebody put the beat on. But starting out, man, finding models. Listen, my first model was my cousin. And from there, like, I would slowly get people that I knew. And then once your work starts speaking, then you can get other people. But one of the things that I wasn't really realizing was that, like, my work wasn't really where I thought it was at when I thought it was, like, excellent. So, you have to be realistic with yourself as well in terms of what your work quality is. So keep that in mind as well. Keep that in mind as well. Now, we talked about this right here. Tomorrow, tune in. Come share your image with me. Even if you don't even want to share an image, you just want to, meet me on IG, say what's up. You can still hop on, say what's up to T-Mid, all that good stuff. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, we have, you don't have to, but bring them out. Yeah. What's going on, Craig? You caught the end of the show. I got the lights off. I'm in sneaky link mode right now. The lights off. I'm backlit with a rim light, with a accent light in the corner. I'm setting the tone. I'm just trying to show y'all how to do it. I'm teaching more than photography over here. Y'all trying to get the nightlife right. Do this lighting setup right here. Your partner gonna be like, what? It'll be like, oh, okay. So definitely look into all of those things. I was wondering what's going on. Yeah, it's a lot going on. You never know what you're gonna walk in on T-Med channel, okay? You just never know. But as always, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate y'all watching, hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, following me on Instagram. So tomorrow, again, I'm going live. Come bring your best image. Share your image with me. Even if you just want to say what's up, come tomorrow. Say what's up. T to the M to the IDD. I hope y'all were able to learn some things as far as off-camera flash with me tonight. And until the next one, hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate y'all watching. T to the M to the IDD. Peace. Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with your line.